started this process was, realizing that, a lot of times students really compartmentalize their classes. I think they do it in forestry. We notice it in forestry. I think students do it probably in general. I did it when I was in school. But what we've realized is that, they would go to my class, measurements, and they would take it, and then they would leave, and they might go to economics that they take, and then they would do what they had to in that class. They'd take John's ecology class, and they take that one, but they wouldn't really think about how everything goes together. And we started seeing this when we started working with the students in senior project, is that they had a hard time really seeing how everything, they hadn't thought about it before, how it all connected. And so in thinking about this, we're like, well, why are we doing two different projects and having them have two different assignments when we could really start to help pull things together for them, hopefully.
Students in forestry, a lot of times they come in there and think they're going to hunt and fish, but the reality is forestry is communication. And a lot of forestry is written communication. And so I think this process is to try to make them understand that they have to go beyond just sort of giving something to the professor that, this is what the professor wants to see, and just stop there. That what they really need to be doing is thinking about how they're going to talk to a landowner or teachers or school kids, a year and a half from when we're seeing them.
We know that they wait till the last minute and then it's rushed and they kind of halfway do it, and we're like, why should we have them do two projects maybe that they don't, they feel like they're stretched really thin, and we could instead have them collect information for one slightly bigger project, but then have two different outputs that are related, but kind of targeted at two different audiences and with two different media. With John's being a professional scientific poster-based format and mine being a TED Talk type format. And so with his project, it's more the scientific poster, kind of more the traditional scientific method outline, but in a more graphic format, like you were mentioning. Whereas mine, because of the popularity of TED Talks and kind of looking at those sound bites of information that we know that students need to be able to produce, and to be able to give them their elevator speech. A lot of times it's hard for students to be able to say, well, what does this mean, or explain it in layman's terms. So that was where the TED Talk idea came from, just a short video that would talk about their project and what they did.
There aren't necessarily a lot of right answers. There are different landowners have different ideas, different objectives, and so it's not just, it's not a cookbook. There's a world out there that you can kind of pick and choose, and so as long as you have sort of the basis or your base, your building blocks to work from, you can work your way up as opposed to starting at the top and going down. So that's what we're trying to do, is create a good foundation for them to then take with them from here. I was incredibly impressed with what they did by the end of the semester. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of panic before it happened, but when they actually got up to get filmed, the presentation they put together, and everybody in all the groups all had their 2 or 3 minutes, and it was amazing at just how well they did.
There was like, you want us to do what?
And they got really excited about it when it was all over. They just said, oh my God, this was incredible.
And you're sneaking in writing on them, and they're not. Because
Yeah,
most of them
think
don't want to
about
write,
it, yeah.
but they'll think about it as putting thoughts together and writing. It's a different way of thinking for them, because a lot of times they're like, well, what do you want us to write? Or they're so used to just regurgitating whatever notes are given in class, and we're like, well, we want to know what you think. And they're like, yeah, what? That's a very strange concept for them to, and it's always, you trust us with this? I'm like, yes, I trust you.